All right, here we go. Everybody up, rise on the biscuit. Okay, have a seat. Now, tiny people in the back are not having a conversation. All right, listen up. Let's see if we can get who's supposed to be here into this class. A little off in the last one. They made a change or two on me. In there. Go with. Done, done, done. Do we have Sharab in here? Cool. Sorry, I never see the kids are right in front of me. Nick, I see. Bo, I see. Sawyer.
Sawyer. Oh, no, he was in my English workshop class and came in late, and then, yeah, you were English workshop test.
Okay. Okay, Tyler Fletcher we have in here. Yeah, Tyler Grande. Okay, Arturo. Abdul obviously is going to be here. Peter Hodge. Zoe we have. Gus back there. Alia. Claire, and JVD2 the sequel. All right. Anybody else that didn't name? Okay, cool. Here's the situation, guys. We have a couple things going on. We're going to take some lessons in personal finance, and we're also going to do the stock market game. Now, the stock market game does not actually begin until February 16th, but we need to learn a few things about just money in general and about investing and about stocks and bonds and the kinds of things that you can invest in over the course of the game. Also, we're going to have to watch a couple of films from the people that put out a stock market game so you understand how to go through their website and select your investments and check up on how you're doing and compare yourself to other teams and stuff. So we got a few things to do ahead of time, but like I say, it doesn't start till February 16th. I have entered you all so that we have enough team slots. However, they haven't released those to me yet. So, our check, we already sent that off, but it hasn't cleared until the money's cleared and they have it in their little hands. They don't give me the way to sign you up into the website. When we do, as soon as we do that, I'm going to have you guys, we'll get you all entered on. But what I'm going to want you to do now is I'm going to want you to, not now, we're going to do this at the end of class, we're going to partner up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boys. We also have Abdul in here. Now, with the 8 boys that are here, you're going to partner up in teams of 2. You may not have 3, you may not have 4, it's a team of 2. All right, girls in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, that's difficult math. You're going to get 2 teams of 2 for the girls. And, oh, wait a minute. Somebody was missing. What did we say was missing? Oh, Sawyer. Sawyer's missing, so we actually have another one. So there'll be another team of boys. I'm guessing I may put him in as a third, but we'll take care of that when he gets down there. Now, at the end of the period, when I'm done talking about this, giving you a little bit of information, then we will work on getting those teams together. And the last thing I'm going to do is go sit over there, have you come up and tell me not just the partners, but also you need a team nickname which has something to do with money, saving, investing. You guys have to agree to that because it's really hard to just look up, I'm team number XBY7 dash underscore question mark 14702 dash underscore. So we give it a team nickname you can look up quickly. Okay, folks, here we go. Let's take a quick deep breath. Money. Money is not a dirty word. Money is not an awful thing. Money is a hammer. Money is a screwdriver. Money is a wrench. Money is a tool. And if you learn how to use the tool, you can have a safe, secure, happier life, much happier than if you don't learn to do it. Don't be one of those people who says, when I get extra money, I have to give it all away. That may be fine in the short term, but unless you build for a long-term security, you can be in a world of hurt when bad things happen. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. First of all, I read an article a couple of years ago which just blew me away. And that is, In the United States, and I think this was Merrill Lynch that did it, it's a great big huge investment firm. In the United States, it is more likely that a 16-year-old boy will be able to get his hands on $1,000 cash than it is that a 65-year-old man will be able to. That means there's an awful lot of 65-year-old men who have not done anything to save throughout their lives. Don't know what they did for a living, don't know how much money they made, doesn't matter. They didn't put anything aside, and now that's going to come back and haunt them. You guys have probably heard about Social Security. You know, Social Security, that's a check you get from the government every month when you reach a certain age. Well, Social Security was never meant to be what people live off of. But lots of Americans have said, that's great, I can stop working because I can live off my Social Security check. Social Security was actually meant to replace about 40% of a person's income. So if you just want to live on Social Security, you get to live on about 40% of what you had been making. The average check is about $1,500 in the United States. Now let's stop and think about that. If you want to rent an apartment in Brookfield, it will probably cost you $1,200. That's just the rent. Now if you want to, I don't know, put heat in there or electricity, you probably come close to spending all of your money. You don't have anything left for gasoline or clothes or food or little things like that. So you have to understand, putting things ahead for the long term is really critically important. And learning how to use money as a tool. Let me tell you this story because this was just a shocking one too. 6.7 million years ago, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, I used to work for Walgreens. I was a Walgreens assistant manager, executive assistant. I was down at one of the stores, it was down on 17th of Wisconsin, right across from Marquette University. And this was years ago. There was a fellow on the front register. His name was Jesse. Now, Jesse was a guy who was probably in his 50s, and he made about $5 an hour. Remember, this is lots of years ago. You know, so he's making a little more minimum wage. Maybe he made $6 an hour. Okay, but not a whole lot of money. Jesse's wife had been in a car accident some years earlier. And Jesse's wife had been working this thing through the legal system. It was down in Chicago for a long time. And finally, Jesse said to me one day, Mr. Owen, you need to schedule me off next Friday because the court case is finally going to be over. We're going to get our settlement. We're going to get $16,500. And we signed it all off on Friday, and then the whole thing's over. And I said, well, congratulations, Jeff. I know this has been dragging on for years. I'll be happy to find somebody else to work your shift. So you go down there and, get it all set, and then we'll see you on Monday. So off went Jesse. He was gone Friday. He was busy down in Chicago signing off with the lawyer, $16,500 for a guy that makes about $6 an hour. He came back on Monday. I'm opening up the store, here comes Jesse, and I said, Jeff, get everything settled? He said, yeah, we did. I said, have you thought anything about what you're going to do with the money? How you're going to invest it? He said, oh, we don't have that anymore. What? He said, well, we don't have that anymore. You don't have a settlement anymore? What happened? He said, well, my wife, she never had her a really good weekend down in Chicago. We never stayed at the really fanciest hotels. We never rode in a limousine. We never went to one of those really prime plays at the theater. And we never had room service with champagne and a big steak. So that's what we did this weekend. He made $6 an hour, and he spent $16,500 in 3 days. That's somebody that has no concept what to do with money, how money is a tool, and how it can be used to make somebody safe and secure, happy, and just feeling a little bit better about themselves. Okay, let's talk about this. First, let's get the wrong thing. Now let's talk about this. You're going to get some money in your life. And what are you going to do with it? You get to grow something. Well, what are you going to grow? You can grow this pretty little flower over here. It's very nice. There's not a whole lot of it, but if that's what you want to do, that comes from making choices. Just with anything else in life, you're making choices about what you're going to do with the money you have. Are you going to grow this pretty little flower here? Or are you going to grow this great big mondo tree? about savings first. Savings is keeping something for the future. That's what savings is. So that Ollie will babysit this weekend. And at the end of the weekend, she babysat for a long time. She gets $100. She gets $100 having babysat for a bunch of hours over the weekend. Now, the great part about that is she doesn't have to spend that all. She doesn't have to do anything with that until she's ready to, so she can say, you know what, that was a tough weekend. I want to go buy myself something. So I'm going to take $10 and go, I don't know, go to the Play Store and get myself an app or something that I want. So she does that, and then the other $90, she says, I'm going to save this for later. That's saving, just taking what you already have, putting some of it aside for future use. This is huge. This is massive. This couldn't be bigger. So many people in the world, like the 65-year-old guys that don't have any money, they forgot the most important rule about money, and that is you work for it. If you work for it, you should be paid. And you should take at least the first 10% of what you earn, and that's for you. That's not for you to go buy lattes at Starbucks. That's not for you to go out and buy yourself a new outfit. No, that's for you to start building yourself a safe and secure future. That's for you to start developing your wealth. So this is the first rule of finance is pay yourself first. So many people do it just the opposite way. They never get ahead because they pull out the checkbook, they pull out the credit card, they say, okay, I got to pay the electric bill, I got to pay the gas bill, I got to pay the rent, I got to pay for gas in the car, I got to pay for groceries, I got to pay for this and that and the other thing. They forget to say, I got to pay me. I worked hard. I deserve some of this. And if you wait until taking the last, whatever's left, then there's no way you're going to keep it. You have to take the first, and you're entitled to it. You worked for it. So 10% of all you make is yours to keep. And that should go into a separate account. That's not for spending in the future. That's for saving and building and growing. Okay. That will give you security, independence. Some people, lots of people actually used to do this. Still a great way to do it, is to literally take cuts and say, this is for my current needs. I'm going to put my rent in there. I'm going to put my electric bill amount in there. I'm going to put my gas bill amount in there when I get my paycheck. This is for the future needs that I'm going to have, like new tires and an oil change on the car, and my life insurance is due in another month. That goes in the intermediate thing. And then there's the cup, which you should put the money into first, which is that's the 10% for me. That's the money for me. Okay, I'm going to make you smarter than most people that have MBAs. If you don't know what an MBA is, it's a Master's of Business Administration. That's like the big degree people get when they go into business. Well, the MBA, lots of people get one and not know this. So simple. In all the world, there are only two investments. That's it. That's everything. There's only two things in the world you can do with your money. You can own or you can loan. There's nothing else you can do with it. I mean, you can stick it in your underwear drawer and just let it shrink, but that doesn't make sense. Okay. There are so many ways that you can invest. And investing is not taking what you have and setting it aside for later. Investing is taking what you have and putting it to use so that it grows and you earn more money. You make more money. There's all kinds of possibilities here. Okay. First of all, if you decide your investment is going to be a loan, I'm going to be somebody who lends money out, you become like the bank. So let's explain how banks make money. Okay, JVB2 the sequel. She goes to the bank. She's got $50 that she has earned. And she says, okay, baby, I'm going to save this for later. Why don't you just put it in your underwear drawer? Why do you want to put it in the bank? So nobody steals it? Well, that could be part of it. Well, you get some interest. The bank is going to pay you for the use of your money, and that's what interest is, a payment for the use of someone's money. So the bank is going to pay you, we'll make it just so it's easy, they're going to pay you 2%. Okay, the bank is going to pay Julia 2%, and that means when she comes back in a year and says, geez, how much money do I have? I put $50 in, what do I have now? A year from now, she's going to have $51 because she will have made 2% on her interest. or on her loan to the bank. However, does the bank go back into the safe to the secret little drawer that says JVD to the people? Put it in there and don't tell anyone? No, Tyler, what do they do with it? What? Yeah, they use it to make more money. How do they do that? Here. Right, they use the money that you lent them to make loans to other people. So here comes Pink, and Pink. Okay. Here comes this child here. We'll call her Claire. We good? Okay. So here comes Claire. Here comes Claire, and she has a need to buy. What are you going to buy for $50? She needs to buy groceries. Now we got to make some better than that. She wants to buy. She wants to buy groceries. She has a need for a large meal. She wants to buy groceries, and so she goes to the bank and says, "I need to borrow $50." She has a good credit score, and so they lend her $50, but they say, "Yeah, but we're charging you 10%. So you can pay us back in a year." So what have they done? They've taken JVB's money, for which they're paying her 2%. They've lent it out to Claire at 10%. End of the year, what happens? Claire pays them back the $50 plus the interest, $5 more. So the bank gets $55. They pay JVD2 $50 that you put in, plus the $1, 2% interest. There's $4 left over hanging there. That's how banks make money, okay, with their interest. Now, it's getting to be where sometimes it's a little more difficult to get loans from banks for things. And actually, there are a number of apps that are used now where people can make individual loans to people. Their credit worthiness and what they want to borrow it for and their history will all come up, and you can choose and say, all right, it sounds like Johnson here was just a little bit down on her luck, so she needs $500. Okay, I'll lend it to her at 6%. If you're willing to do that for 6%, then I will lend you the money for a certain period of time, and it'll work through the tax payment back and stuff. Okay, so you could be someone who lends things out. We talked about a savings account being a loan to the bank. You could do that, earn a little bit of interest. I'm not going to go over certificates of deposit. You'll do that next year if we get BAME up and running again. It's just if you put money into the bank for a longer time, they pay you a little more interest. Okay, personal loan. You can make a personal loan to a friend, a relative. Incidentally, I have a piece of advice to you. Never lend money to friends or relatives. That's just not a good idea. If this is my brother, he comes in and says, "Man, I need to borrow $100. You know what? If I were you, I'd make a choice. Either say no or give him $100. Say, if you can pay me back, that's great, brother. Otherwise, don't worry about it. But if you really make loans to friends and relatives, sometimes you lose friendships and families for that. So that's kind of a dangerous thing to do. All right, a business loan. People can get loans from a bank, and I suppose you could lend into having somebody start a business. Bonds. Bonds are the big loans they think about when you talk about on a large scale, like corporate bonds. You'd be lending money to a business. McDonald's wants to open 2 more restaurants, or 10 more restaurants, or 100 more restaurants. They say we need to float a bond issue for $100 million. So people buy in like $10,000 increments. We'll lend you the money, and you pay it back in a few years with some interest. Or government bonds. I have a bond myself from Marpreso, Arizona school district. They needed to build a new school, and I lent them $10,000, and they're going to pay me back in a couple of years. In the meantime, they're paying me interest. So that's how bonds work. Okay. If you own something, though, we talked about loans. Now, if you own, you can own a part of something or the whole thing. What's real estate? Nick. Land and what? Almost sort of kind of, Tyler in the middle. Well, you know, this is my property, but it's not real estate. I own it. Peter?
Like land property, I guess you did part of like land that, you know,
Land and,
like, well, it also goes over water, so.
no, land and,
It's the selling of land.
it's land and what is attached to the land. Okay? So that if we look at, I don't know, we look at Gus's house. Gus's house is for sale. His parents are selling it, and Gus's bicycle is in the front yard. If I come by and make a deal to buy the house, I don't get the bicycle because the bicycle is not attached to the land. I do get the basketball hoop because that's literally attached to the land or attached to the garage, which is attached to the land. So that comes along as part of it. So it's land and everything attached to the land. My sister, I have 4 sisters. One of my sisters bought a house in Wauwatosa one time, and they moved up from Racine, and they got into the house, like it was already dark. And they came in, and the people had removed all of the light bulbs. So my sister said, oh, this is insane, they're so cheap, this couldn't get any worse. Went in the bathroom, they had removed the spindle for the toilet paper. You know, the little thing that holds the roll of toilet paper? Well, that's not permanently attached, we get to keep that. What would you do when you use toilet paper spindle? Okay. Yeah. Real estate can be very profitable. This is a little house my wife and I actually bought and fixed up. We bought it for, I think $16,500. We sold it for about $50,000. So it's a good deal. Business, you can invest in business. You can own a part or all of a business. What do these people do for a living? Bread. Cake. Oh, I just figured they were models, but you're right, they might be bakery. No, yeah, they own a bakery. Yeah, running a business is really hard. It takes a lot of time commitment, a lot of effort. You really have to stay on top of what's happening in that field. But running a business is the #1 way that people become wealthy in the United States. This is the top way. Okay. You can also own something through, you can have ownership through stock. Now, stock, when my kids were young, when my sons were young, I bought them each a share of Walt Disney Company just because their stock certificate was like a piece of art. And this is literally what it looked like. It was framed, it was up on their walls when they were kids because they thought it was all cool with all the Mickey Mouse characters. Yes, sir?
My dad did that to me when I was young, and that when I was birthday present, but it was a share of the previous Packers.
Packer stock is good too, yeah.
I've got exact same thing, got it when I was born.
Cool, all right. Now, when you buy stock in a company, you own a little piece of the company. That means you can't go to Disney World and say, I have 10 shares, I'm taking that bush that's cut like Mickey Mouse. No, you can't take your little piece out of it. But what do you own if you buy a share of Disney? You own part of ESPN, Disney, cable channel, you own ABC, Freeform, whatever that is, National Geographic, 20th Century Fox, Fox Network, Fox Broadcasting, Star, FX, Disney, Marvel, Lucasfilms, Pixar, X-Men, Deadpool, that's terrible, Avatar, BAMTech, whatever that is, Hulu, Sky, Hotstar, a what? Indian thing? Okay. And then all the Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, and this says consumer products. So, you know, every little doll they make, every little yard decoration, every little sticker, you own a part of all of that. And so when the company does well, the value of the stock goes up, your stock is worth more, you've made money. Big, huge thing here. Difference between millionaires and broke people. Just gonna run through a couple of these. Millionaires read daily. Broke people watch TV. Let me just narrow this down to you with one quick thought, which is so true. Successful people plan for 3 generations. Unsuccessful people plan for Friday night. Think about the story I told you about Jesse. Didn't see past, we're gonna have a whale of a weekend. He planned for Friday night. Successful people would have taken that $16,500 they got from the lawsuit and really made a nice chunk, a really good start on a retirement program or, you know, building a fund to buy a house or whatever. Yes, ma'am.
In people's wills, they also put stock in them.
Yes, yes. Any possession you have, you can leave to someone else. Okay. Pedro,
How much, like, would that be worth today?
how much would what we were today?
That $60,000.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, just a rough estimate, that was in the 80s. I don't know. I'd have to say it's at least probably 4 times as much, 3 times, probably 4 times as much.
How do you spend like
So 6.4.
$90,000 in a single?
Quickly.
90,000.
All right, anyway, let's get back to this, okay? Setting goals. You know, I know you guys, we say, hey, let's set goals, and everybody goes, oh, I hate this, it's so dumb. It is a key to success. If you don't have goals, if you don't have things, even little things like to-do lists. I always have to-do lists in my pocket. I don't know how I function without them. Compliment people or criticize people. Have you ever known one of those people who 30 seconds after you start a conversation with them is talking somebody else down? Oh, and Betty is such a stinker. Let me tell you what Betty did today. Well, get off of that. Don't spend your time bothering to criticize. Build people up. Forgive. Have you ever known anybody that holds that grudge? Just let it eat in them. Their world revolves around hate. That's a really bad idea. Okay, let me see here. Continuously learn. Think they know it all. This is one of my favorite things I get when I had it once. Really struck me because the kid was so serious. Years ago, this is probably 30 years ago, teaching now. But we were having a little bit of a discussion, a little bit of a difference of opinion, and he said, my dad's a doctor, I know. And I thought, how do you know if your dad is a doctor? Did you go to medical school with him? Have you practiced medicine? You don't know, Billy. You weren't even born when you was in medical school. How did you get to know because your dad's a doctor? So some people think they know it all. Okay, what else have we got here? Take responsibility for their failures, blame others for their failures. You know, taking responsibility for your failures is one of the easiest things to do, and people will look at you and say, wow, this is a person of character. I like what this person's doing. Let's take a realistic example of a troublemaker, Arturo. So Arturo is making a disturbance in class, and the teacher gets angry and pulls him aside and says, Arturo, you need to stop being a disruption. And Arturo says, you're right, I'm sorry, my fault, I won't do it again. Now, where's the teacher going to go after that? He took responsibility. Is the teacher going to say, yes, but I'm not done yelling. I really want to yell for a while. No, not really. I mean, problem solved because he took responsibility himself. Okay. What's saving? You know what a coordinate is? It's when you divorce. Can't use the word to define itself. Alia.
Like savings or savings general.
What is saving?
Savings is,
What is saving?
specific amounts of money put aside for.
Put aside for, well, I'll take it for later use. Putting something aside today for later use. See, why should people pay themselves first, Nicholas?
So, very nice, that's the account. Low order, like sales or.
Right, pay yourself first, you worked, you earned it, and also remember that's not for you to use immediately in the future. That's not just for the next time you need tires or the washing machine breaks down. There should be a separate savings for that. This is just to build your wealth. And incidentally, guys, that should start with your first paycheck. If you say, yeah, but right now I'm not making much, I'll start saving next year, you won't. I'll start saving a couple of years. I'll save after college. Well, my first year is really tough. Let me save the second year. You end up like those 65-year-old guys that can't get $1,000. All right, what else do we got here? What's the purpose of the 10%? We just went over that. Car breaks down, we just went over that. What are the two types of investments? Known and known. What is investing? You back up again, Cliff. Uh-oh. Tyler's Randy.
Like, putting like money into something that, like, will make you more.
There you go. Using money to make more money. Okay, what's interest? That's right, Peter.
Or, like, when you put money into something, oh, and, like, you give your money to them over a period of time, they'll give you back more than you put in.
It's money paid for the use of money. Okay, what is a bond? I mean,
Okay, I think, like, basically, they're like, if you get
okay, it's actually a certificate showing that you have lent either a business or a government money and that they will pay you back with interest. What's real estate? What did we say it was?
it's pretty much land with whatever cash.
Land or whatever's attached to it, right? So like if we bury Bo Bolts in the backyard, he goes to the house. Okay. Business, let me just define the word for you, because so many people don't realize that. It's just a common English noun. You take the word busy, you drop the Y, add an I. Busyness. It's what keeps you busy, what occupies your time. That's what your business is. And what is business? Bo Bolts, you're up.
A business is, try to find it. It's a company that one makes where you can make money over time or lose money,
Doing what?
doing, anything.
Every business, what are they all doing? They're trying to,
They're trying to make money,
how?
by making things or doing things,
And doing what with them?
investing.
No, what do they do with their stuff?
Oh, wait, invest in a company,
No, what do they do with their stuff?
sell it to people.
Yeah, by producing something and selling it to the public. Okay. Well, let's we go. What's a stock? What did we say a stock was? Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Stock is kind of like a percentage of like one stock is worth a little probably like this, like you would own that much of it.
Yep, it's a small ownership in the entire company. What do you think the most important one was? Oh, give me something, Gus. What was the most important one? In the mind of Augustus.
They took responsibility for their actions.
Okay, Peter, what do you think?
Planning for the future and not for the moment.
Okay? All right, cool. Just a little story here. You guys come from a very affluent background, and there's nothing in the world wrong with that. That's wonderful. Your parents have done well with using their money as a tool. But you got to make some choices when you go through life. And I just want to give you an example of how the choices work. I have a friend who's very much a technology kind of a guy. Oh, electric, love it. He's very much a technology guy. And a few years back, he bought the new Apple phone at the time, the new iPhone at the time, which cost him $1,000. Okay, great. He really loves technology. That was a big treat for him. He bought himself a $1,000 phone. I took $1,000 at the same time. I bought 50 shares of Amazon stock. Stock is split. I now own 100 shares of Amazon stock, and he now has an old phone in his dresser drawer. So, what happens in the future? You have to take into account. How am I going to spend my money? Am I going to spend my money by saying, I think I'm going to just go out and get an $8 drink at Starbucks every day? Now, if that's really the joy in your life and you earn the money, go ahead. But just say, am I saving properly? Am I putting things aside for the future, or am I just drinking it all day by day? And if you take a look at it, you say, well, could I get along with a $4 Starbucks? Or could I get along with, every coffee's $1 at McDonald's? What could I do, to maybe shave some of that back and save a little bit more of that? Okay. we're good there. Now, I'm gonna walk over here. Hang on, let me just set this thing down. Hi, people at home. Not that we don't love you, but we're gonna turn you off here.